I think we'll go ahead and get going. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the virtual flight deck. Captain Jack here. Mike, how in the world are you? Waiting for Mike there on the audio. Hello, Mike. Let's see. Are you delayed there, Mike? Or hello? Mike is there. Got his video. Sir. Yeah, buddy. Are we working on a delay on your video there?
No, I was just waiting for stuff to start over. We are all good over here.
Okay, perfect. Well, welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the virtual flight deck. I believe this is episode 2 or 3 now. I lose count of the virtual flight deck. We started this a few months ago to get in here and talk about flight simulation. And Owls is not going to be able to be here today. CST Gaming may join us just a little bit later. EJ Davis could not make it today. We're waiting on Andrew from VATUSA to finish his golf game there, Mike. He went out shooting golf today, and I told him, make sure to take your golf gun. So, you know, he's finishing up. Anyway, how you doing, man? Yep. Great to see you.
Things are well. Sorry, stream. My mic was muted on OBS's side. I apologize. We're all good here. But I'm doing all right. As you can tell, I'm got a little bit something going on under the weather here, but I wouldn't say sick. I think just my voice is starting to catch up with all the talking and live streaming I've been doing as of recent. So
yeah.
Appreciate you guys tuning in with us today. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day so far. Welcome to the second installment of the virtual flight deck here on my channel and the rebranding of the podcast, as we're still trying to figure out how we want this to look and be and how you guys come across it on the good old YouTube. So I do appreciate you guys being here. I got Lightspeed Crystal, Captain Reese, Fiber, Kills My Skills all in chat as of right now. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day so far. Like Jack was saying, unfortunately, Owls can't be with us today. CST did confirm with me he's going to be done with his stream in about 25-ish minutes. So he's going to be joining in a little bit later. Yeah, unfortunately, EJ couldn't be with us today. But our special guest, Andrew, as you heard, is out golfing right now. So he will be joining us a little bit later. But nonetheless, we do have a lot to talk about. Over the last couple of weeks, Microsoft Flight Simulator has been graced with the presence of 2 beautiful airplanes, which I have been flying all week. So we'll get to talking about that and all that kind of good stuff and what's coming up in the future. So hope you guys are all having a fantastic day so far. I do apologize for my voice. My voice is kind of a bit scratchy this morning. Hopefully that goes away towards my stream towards the end of the day. But if not, if my voice worsens, unfortunately, you guys know what that means. So but yeah, we're here. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day so far. Make sure you smash down that like button on both, my side and Captain Jack's side. Head over to Captain Jack's channel if you don't mind doing that for me, and drop him a sub and a like if you have not done so already, as his content is stellar. I always have a fantastic time going back and watching Jack's content. I got Dear Old Dad as well. Dear Old Dad, my man. What's going on, brother?
Oh, right on. Yeah, it's good to see all of you in here. Cap Zimp's in here on my chat so far, and we're really super glad to have you. This podcast, I want to take just a moment. We're actually looking, Mike, I'm trying to look at some different avenues, but we're actually looking at making this a for real podcast that can go out to some other platforms, at least on the audio side of it. So we'll keep exploring that as time goes by. It's been a super busy summer for me, and once again, I'll echo what Mike says. And guys, those of you who may be here on my stream, be sure to get over to MickityyyMike's YouTube channel, and if you haven't yet, subscribe in there. And as always, show Mike and Owls and CST Gaming your love on the YouTube channels. We're here to talk about things Flight Simulator because of our love and our passion for what this is all about. And we hope that we can be educational to some degree, give you some new insights into some of the new technologies and new software that's coming out. I know Mike's got a pretty good review to go through here today. The AIRBUS has put out a new product, and I have not bought that yet. Mike, I did yesterday, and you've seen it in our Discord channel, but I did yesterday. Go ahead and get the 737-800 because, as you know, I'm a huge football fan. And we're going to do some flights on my stream here in the fall. where are the Denver Broncos playing this weekend? So we'll fly, so we'll fly from Denver, for instance, to Seattle on my Wednesday night stream. Also have me a Kansas City A320, Kansas City Chiefs A320, and I'll show you some pictures of all of this. And I'm a fan of Buffalo Airways, as you guys know, if you've been paying any attention or had the opportunity to hear. Buffalo Airways up out of Yellowknife, CYZF, up in Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories. They had a TV show on called Ice Pilots NWT. I was a huge fan of that. And, you see me fly the Buffalo Airways DC-3 on my stream on occasion. So, Mike, I went ahead and got the Buffalo Airways 737. It's a 700 livery. I think they're actually flying a 300 in real life. But gonna have some fun with that on my streams, and looking forward to hearing your dissertations here on some of the new software, especially the new Phoenix packs. So we'll go ahead and get into that. Spikefly is here. Welcome. Owls couldn't make it. Spikefly. He has some family duties and things going on. Life happens. So we hit what we can when we can. So, Mike, I'm going to let you take off with it here. And questions in the chat, guys, are always welcome. And we'd love to know your opinions and your questions and whatever you got. So, Mike, why don't you start us out there?
Sure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you guys know, speaking to comment on Jack's purchase of the 800 and all that kind of stuff with that Denver Broncos livery. That Denver Broncos livery is kind of some heat right there, man. I'm not gonna lie. I watched Denver play. Obviously the last couple of seasons they've been struggling a little bit, but with Bo Nix coming in and
we're
becoming a starting QB for that team, I think Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton are going to be a matchup nightmare. So I'll be excited to see them play this year. So I'm a New Orleans Saints fan. Unfortunately, we don't have any liveries or anything like that. I think New Orleans just travels with Delta, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they just get their own private charter airplane with Delta when they travel around. But speaking of, guys, obviously, I think the hot topic of the week is Phoenix dropped the A319 and 321 on us about a week ago to be exact, a little over a week, I should say. And I got to tell you, man, the Phoenix 319 and 321 is exactly what everybody expected. They are two phenomenal airplanes to fly. And Phoenix being Phoenix, modeled everything as accurately as they possibly could. And I've been flying them all week, as you guys can tell, going back between the 319, 321, 319, 321. And man, they're just a blast to fly. Offers a lot of new routes to fly, a lot of new airlines that don't operate the 320 particularly, may only operate the 319 or the 321. It's awesome set of airplanes, and it has been a joy to fly this week. And speaking of football, Jack, this might turn you on to purchasing the 319 and 321 a lot sooner than you think. But back in the day, U.S. Airways, when they were still in existence prior to their merger with American Airlines, they used to put football teams on the tail of their airplanes. So they had Pittsburgh Steelers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and a plethora of other football teams on the back of their airplanes. Not necessarily were they traveling with U.S. Airways, but they were just specialized livery for the NFL and all that kind of stuff. So, they got a couple of those up on the good old FSTO. So if you're interested in flying those, those are more liveries that you can get. But man, I think my favorite stream I did last week, I mean, we did a US Airways stream in the 321. It's very nostalgic for me because I lived on the East Coast for a little over a year. I lived in the Pennsylvania, Philadelphia area for a little over a year. And flying out of Philly on that U.S. Airways 321 just brought back memories because I have flown on U.S. Airways many a times before prior to their merger with American. And I swore up and down as a child that the airline of my choice that I would fly with would be U.S. Airways because, I mean, it's just American. It's, the U.S. Airways with the red, white, and blue as their livery, man. I absolutely loved that airline. But, yeah, to be expected, Phoenix just absolutely killed it, man. I understand their delay. I understand why it took them so long. Now, granted, you take that with a grain of salt because there are still a lot of people that are like, "Man, it should have taken this long." But at the same time, it's like you look at the high fidelity of the systems and of the aircraft's operations and what has gone into making that airplane. I think the delay. I wouldn't say it's acceptable, but it's understandable. So just get back over to chat really quickly. Zemp's also in the house over on my side as well. Fires says, by the way, more iFly previews will pass him over. Nice, Fires. Hell yeah, man. More previews of the iFly 737 Max. Looking forward to that. And also Captain Crystal saying, what's your take on the new iFly previews? I have not seen them yet. I will have to check those out here. Give me just 1 second. I'm not trying to. Okay, I have them over here. All right, we'll check them. We'll check them out here in a little bit. But yeah, I think it's just a really good time to be a flight simmer right now, man. With the 319 and 321 dropping, I think that's putting a lot of pressure on the other developers to get their airplanes out. So you know, we got a lot of stuff coming up. We got the Max coming out. We've got the whatchamacallit, the 777 freighter. We've got PMDG's variant of the Max. So we're gonna have 2 Maxes coming to the sim hopefully by the end of the year. And then the 777-200 variant by PMDG later on in the year as well. So Fiber says, I'm a Niner fan. Hey, no, nothing wrong with the 49ers, man. I'm a huge Brock Purdy fan.
Nope.
Huge Brock Purdy fan. And I am so happy that San Francisco has gotten their heads out of their asses, has decided to pay Brandon Ayuk. So we'll see. We will see. Because that would have been a nasty hit on their receiving core if they lost Brandon Ayuk. I'm not gonna lie, but that's football talk.
Mike, let me.
Owl's in the house as well.
Owlz,
just Mike and Jack. Yeah, just us today. Just us today. And I think CST is going to be joining us here in a little bit. If I'm not mistaken, he said he would join after his live stream, but we shall see, man.
All right, right on. Well, listen, I've got some questions to ask you. Of course, you know, I have been flying the A320, trying to learn it and get in with that. So tell us the basic differences between the new aircraft that Phoenix has posted. You know, what are some of the differences that people who may just be tuning in and not know for the first time, you know, and including myself, what are some of the differences in the aircraft that you've been flying now that's new and part of that new pack that's a combined pack, by the way? And my other question is do you have to have the regular Phoenix A320? Is the pack an add-on to that, or is it a separately, totally separate deal, Mike?
Now, yes. So the way Phoenix has modeled it, if I'm not mistaken, chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, you must own the 320 in order for the 319 and 321 to work. Because the 319 and 321 operate off of the 320's brain. So if that makes sense, basically you have one airplane that has all systems integrated into the files and configurations, and then the 19 and 21 are basically add-ons to that configuration. So you must be an owner of the 320 in order for the 19 and 21 to operate correctly and operate as they should. There are subtle differences between the three. Obviously, the major difference being the size in the aircraft. With the 320, obviously, we've been flying the 320 for the longest since Microsoft has been concepted. The 320 has been around, and then Phoenix dropped their 320 around, which obviously I think is the most popular A320, just next to the fly-by-wire, if you would. I think we've all gotten used to the characteristics of an A320, right? So when we get a couple of new aircrafts next to the 320, which if you can fly the 320, you can fly the 1921. It's the same cockpit, same setup, same computers, same systems, the same box. So you set up the box the exact same way. They're the exact same airplane, which is why real world A320 type rated airline pilots are type rated also to fly the 19 and 21, as well as the Neo variants. It's the same airplane across the board systems wise. There's just subtle differences in the airframes, the engines, the aerodynamics, this, that, the third, right? With your A320, that's the middle of the pack. Seats about 180 passengers. And we've all gotten used to how it flies, right? But then you swap over to an A319, which is shorter, much shorter. And anybody here that has flown A319 can attest that thing is a sports car, right? That's it's considered the sports car variant of the A320 family. And if you have a lightly loaded A319 on a very short flight with not a lot of fuel on board, man, you're climbing at 5,000, 6,000 foot per minute on that departure with those IEs or CFMs rocketing into the air. It's an absolute rocket ship. Vice versa, you have the 321, which is longer, can seat up to 244 passengers, I believe, in its maximum configuration. I think it's all airline dependent because airlines get to decide how the seats are configured. Um, but in its maximum configuration, it's 244 passengers. It kind of mimics the 757, if you would, in my opinion. A very, very similar aircraft to the 75. Obviously, just Airbus's edition of it. Um, and that airplane climbs like a slug. If you got a fully loaded 321 with a lot of fuel on board, doing 3, 4, 5 hours in the air, that you don't expect to get to your cruise altitude anytime soon, because it's going to be climbing like an absolute slug. Once you pass about 10,000 feet and you start accelerating to your climb speed, and getting up to that cruise altitude, man, you're climbing at 1,100, 1,200 foot per minute, max. So I think the longest it took me to get to cruise at the 321 so far has been a little over 27 minutes, something like that, off of a departure out of Seoul. My stream last night that I did. So there are very subtle but major differences, if that makes sense. They're small differences, but they can have major impact on how the aircraft flies and how you operate it as the user of the airplane. One thing to keep in mind with the 321 is the 321 is very, very tail strike. You can tail strike the 321 if you're not careful, because it's long, and all 320 family aircraft, 1920 and 21, have the same wing configuration, the same wings across the entire fleet, or across the entire family. So same wingspan, same wing density, all that kind of stuff. So you take that and you add more length to those wings, so you have a little bit more chance of tail striking. So I think the maximum pitch on the 321 on departure, you cannot go above 9.5 degrees pitch up, or you will tail strike the airplane. So you have to pull back very slowly, get to about 5 to 7 degrees pitch up on that takeoff. And once you're airborne, then you can start adding more back pressure to the stick and getting to that 15 to 18 degree pitch up on that departure, so you can start climbing out of your departure airfield. But with all of that in mind, they're still phenomenal airplanes to fly. The 321 is one of my favorite aircrafts ever to be made. And it's just been awesome finally having them a proper 19 and 21 in the sim. When it came down to learning the differences between the three again, because I haven't flown 19s or 21s since my days in X-Plane, which is not long ago. I switched over to Microsoft about a year ago. It brought back a lot of good memories of flying those airplanes. So I'm excited to see you get them, Jack, because they are a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun. U.S. Airways, Captain Crystal says U.S. Airways is still around. U.S. purchased American, but they kept the American name because the name was more popular overseas. Captain Crystal, that's incorrect. It's the opposite way around. American purchased the U.S. Airways name, and that's why American has the identity that has survived in that merger. American is who purchased U.S. Airways, because U.S. Airways was starting to go bankrupt. Dewan says, good afternoon. Great conversations, Dewan. I appreciate you stopping, and welcome. Fire says, sports car filled with bricks on final, at least. Yeah. That's another thing you got to be careful with the 19 is if you drop those throttles too early on that landing, man, you're going to fall right out of the sky.
That's interesting, because I'm still, working with the learning curve on the characteristics of the flare of the A320. And it's amazing to me how each one of these airplanes obviously are going to have their own characteristics, but yet can be similar as well. And Mike, a couple of people, real quick, I want to say hello to Virtual in the Captain Jack chat. Graham is up there in Scotland. Let's see. Fred is here. Captain Crystal, you just mentioned. Spikefly. What I'd like to ask you, Mike, too, what do you think the comparison is between the 737 series of aircraft and the 900, the 800, the 700? The 600, I don't really think anybody's really flying too much as far as that goes. But how do you see the similarities between essentially those six aircraft? Because they sound very similar, just basically different companies.
Yeah, and it's all based on the configuration of the airplane and the length, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're operating one day a 737-700, it's very short. It's a bit of a rocket ship, just like the 319, can climb very quickly, especially dependent on your performance parameters. If you're lightly loaded, flying a short hop from Vegas to LA or something like that, the 700 will get you to your altitude very quickly and is very, very fun to fly. Versus you have your 900 or 900 ER, if you would. The 900, very, very long, can be heavy, can do long range distance flights. And again, is tail strike. There's a possibility for a lot more possibility for tail strike in that airplane versus the 700 or the 600, if you would. Which I see 600s on a daily basis because Janet Airlines is in Vegas here,
Oh, wow.
and we see the 600 on the ramp all the time over at Harry Reid. It's similar differences between the fleet, just like just like the 320 family. If you're type rated on the 737-800, you are type rated to fly the 7, 8, and 9, and 6 if your operator operates the 6. 990 and 990 ER, so 2 or 900. Yeah, they're all different aircrafts, right? But you're type rated to fly all of them. So I would say they're very similar differences. I think just Airbus, you can notice the differences a lot. How would I say? You can notice the differences. The differences are a lot more noticeable, is what I'm trying to say.
What is your favorite? Now I know
I
know the answer to this, but I'm asking, for the
between Airbus and Boeing, or out of the 737 fleet?
No, between Airbus and Boeing, and the Airbus, or the Boeing.
Well, personally, for me, I am an Airbus fanatic. I love the Airbus, but you can't go wrong with the 7.3 either, right? This is how I explain it in my streams when people ask me. Each aircraft were manufactured and designed to do the same thing. So I love both of them equally. Just Airbus, when it comes to the systems and the simplicity of the airplane, and the technical differences that it has versus Boeing, right? So let's say, for example, right, in the Boeing, when you're cold and dark, you have a plethora of switches that you have to go up to the overhead and swap on, with your battery, your standby power, your gens, fuel pumps, your window heat, all that kind of good stuff throughout you have to go through there's a lot of flows throughout the 737, which I enjoy as a simmer because there's a lot more clickety stuff that I could click, right?
Yeah, me too.
But with the Airbus, there's just a simplicity in that kind of system. And a lot of those systems that are in the Boeing still to this day are now automated in the Airbus system. So once you do battery 1, battery 2, and hit that external power, your window heat's on, your bleeds are coming online. They're all automated systems. So all you really have to do is connect the ground control, get your IRSs aligned, go down, get your lights and seatbelts on, arm the emergency exit lights, and your overhead is set, until you have to get the fuel pumps online to start the engines up. So I enjoy flying Boeing, because it's a much more hands-on airplane than the Airbus is. Because the Airbus, I mean, you can set autopilot at 100 feet and keep the autopilot all the way on until 100 feet at your destination airport, and the airplane will do everything that you need to do with a couple of clicks on the box. But if I were to choose, if I had just been type rated as an ATP pilot today, and I was applying for the airlines and looking to get a slot, the first slot I would look for would be a 320 slot, 320 family. Now, if the 737 is the only slot available, I'm taking it, right?
Right.
But that's just me personally.
Now let's go here for just a minute, Mike. By the way, I want to say hello to Aviation Geek in Nashville. Fred says the A320 feels way better than before now, way more like the 319 and 321 on the ground and in flight. What do you think about that?
I would agree. I know one thing that I mentioned on my stream, and I mentioned to Owls and a couple of other guys like Isaac and all of them, is a lot of people did not notice that Phoenix did when they dropped the 19 and 21, is they also updated the 320. So the 320 is on the most current build with the 19 and 21. And I actually flew the 320 along with Owls on one of his streams one day, and the airplane flies beautifully. The performance is phenomenal. And I think Phoenix has just, again, done a phenomenal job. They're constantly striving to better their product for the betterment of the community, to make it as realistic as possible, to get the most immersive experience in a 320 as possible. And I think they've done that adequately, and I think they've done it well. Has it taken them a while to get that? Yeah, but at the same time, I always have to remind people that Phoenix is a relatively new company in the flight sim market, right? You look at PMDG. PMDG's been around 20 years, right? And the 777, how long that took us to get, and they said 4 to 6 weeks between variant releases. We are past that mark, and we still haven't heard anything about the freighter, with the exception of that it's in beta. Um, but Phoenix, what I respect about Phoenix is they keep their mouth shut. They don't say anything. They don't get hopes up, nothing like that. Now, does that piss people off? Argumentatively, yeah, but um, they don't say anything. They don't get hopes up. They say we're not going to say anything until it's freaking ready, and that's exactly what they did. They said 2 days prior, they said, "Hey, 319, 321 are imminent, releasing this week," and then that following Monday, I was up in Bryan Head, Utah. I was in a mountain, and when I got the ping on my phone, I checked Discord and I click on that video and I'm watching the little immersive video that they did. And then at the end, it said Phoenix A319 321 available now. I said, of course, you release it while I'm on vacation, right? But I mean, I went on my phone, I went to Google, I logged into my Phoenix account on my Google, on my cell phone, and I purchased the airplanes. So they were readily available for me when I got home. And that's what I respect about them. They're like, hey, we're done. Here you go. Here's the airplane. We're finished.
That's that's what I love about remote, man. You can keep in touch and get stuff done today. It's amazing. Mike, how would you compare the Phoenix equipment that we're able to fly now with, for instance, the fly-by-wire A32XX or whatever it goes in there?
So, you know, what I tell people on my streams when they've asked me that question before is it can be determined as a quite unfair comparison, because you're talking about a company who has just devoted volunteer time to taking a default airplane and making it somewhat feasible to fly in the simulator. Now, I've flown the fly-by-wire a handful of times, and it's not a bad airplane. There are a lot of systems that are accurate to what Phoenix has modeled, but there are also a lot of systems that are not accurate. Like in the fly-by-wire, you still can't fly an RNAV approach. You still don't have the capability to fly specific approaches or program specific things into the box. The MCDUs are still not independent. They're still linked with each other. So when you make one input on the captain's side, it makes the input on the FO side as well. But when it comes to comparing the two, I mean, obviously Phoenix takes the win. I mean, I don't think there's anybody, with the exception of one guy I've seen on YouTube, that will say that the fly-by-wire is better than Phoenix. And those that say the fly-by-wire is better than the Phoenix don't know what they're talking about, in my personal opinion. And I'm not trying to shit on the fly-by-wire guys, because they're doing a phenomenal job with that airplane, especially with the 380 coming out in the quote-unquote future whenever they decide to release it. You're taking a company who is doing this voluntarily versus a company who is doing this for monetary compensation, right? So when you think about it, man, Phoenix probably made easily $750,000 last week on the release of that airplane. You know, probably over $1 million in sales last week, even with the sale that they did, because that's just such a highly anticipated airplane, right? Now, if Fly-by-Wire came out and said, "Hey, we did a 321 as well. Here you go," it's like, all right, well, we'll check it out. It's cool. It's got an EFB. It's got, the systems are accurate enough to where I can fly on VATSIM. I just can't fly an RNAV, right? So if they assign me an RNAV, I'm just gonna have to tell them, "Hey, I'm unable. I'm gonna have to do a visual, or I'm gonna have to do an ILS, one of the two." So comparing the two, I don't think is a fair argument, in my personal opinion, because you have two companies that have two different sets of goals. Which you have one that is just trying to make something that is for free, more immersive and more realistic, versus a company that's making something to model it to a T as much as they possibly can, right? So, like the Phoenix literally models the viscosity of the engine oil based off of the environmental temperature. It's insane, right? It's like the fly-by-wire doesn't do that.
That's amazing. Yeah. Mike, let's see if we've got any questions in chat. I don't know if you do on your side or not. I think we're caught up on my side. Once again, hello to Aviation Geek in Nashville. He puts out some great videos of aircraft landing in Nashville, man. I tell you, I've been sharing his videos on my streams during cruise, and Aviation Geek, thank you so much for that. Mike, have you thought about the Wind Wings FCU yet? That's the next subject, kind of along these lines. I have mine. I'll tell you what, don't know how I ever did anything without it before. And the nice thing is you can also use it on the Boeing aircraft with the MobiFlight software and some templates that they have. It's super easy to load in, and you can sit there and dial up everything on the Boeing aircraft too. What do you think?
Mhm. Well, it's ironic that you asked that because I just pre-ordered mine.
Good for you. It is
So
available, guys. It is available.
mhm.
$104. Maybe if you got some coupons too, like Noah. Noah was able to get that down to 86.
Oh, crazy! Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm still actively waiting for WinWing to confirm my pre-order so I can actually pay for it.
Right.
I've heard some questionable things about WinWing as a company when it comes to how long it takes them to do that. But at the same time, I explained this on my stream when people were asking about WinWing before, and WinWing, they stole the show at the expo. Their booth was filled from sun up to sundown. So I could only imagine that WinWing is very much so trying to play catch up right now with the amount of orders that they received after the expo. So, as you guys know, I have the WinWing side stick. The WinWing side stick is phenomenal. I fly with it every day now. My Thrustmaster TCA has been in the closet since I brought my WinWing home. And that's not to discredit the Thrustmaster TCA side stick. The TCA side stick is very, very feasible if you're looking for a side stick. I just gave one away when I hit 1,000 subs a couple of weeks ago. Um, but I'm looking to slowly start building a at sense at home cockpit for the Airbus, if you would, and same vice versa for the Boeing. So when 1 week I want to fly Airbus, I just set all my Airbus stuff up at my desk, have a full EFIS panel and FCU panel, throttles, side stick. Obviously I got the Airbus tiller from CST, and from there, they have Boeing stuff coming out of it as well. I mean, we've talked about the MCDU and the FMS that they plan on releasing at some point. I'm not sure when that's going to be available for pre-order, but it was at the expo and I took some videos on it. Yeah, I think WinWing is definitely going to be a company that's going to be, taking over the flight sim market just due to the cost.
Yeah.
You look at the FCU unit, right? The FCU unit, uh, MSRP price that they advertise is I think 139.95 or something like that. But right now it is on sale for under $90,
Yep.
right? So
99.95 right now, even as we speak.
yeah, it's to get for those that don't know an FCU panel is on the Airbus, that is your autopilot panel. That where you adjust your speed, heading, altitude, and vertical speed, and where you have all your autopilot buttons, localizer, approach buttons, all that kind of stuff. Um, Majority of those units that you see that are available now are $400, $500, $600, $700 plus. But for WinWing to pick one up now for $99.95 on sale, available to pre-order, it's like you can't compete with that, right? You need to order it from the U.S. warehouse. It's in stock now. I got you, Mamba. I'll take a look into it after the podcast because I'm still actively waiting for my email from OneWing when I pre-ordered it last week.
Mike, one
yeah,
thing I want to interject in here is, for instance, where I am here in Denver, they're currently showing products, and I got mine in 5 days. So guys, check your zip code. Go to the website and check your zip code and see if they might have it available for delivery to you right now. And once again, I was super happy because it got here within 5 days.
yeah,
I think I ordered it on Saturday night. I think it got here on Thursday. So you might want to check that out.
yeah. Mamba says his FCU will be here on Tuesday. Nice. Yeah, I'll do some research after the podcast because if that's the case, then I'll see what I can do from the U.S. warehouse. Owl says, "Will you be flying to 380 in Microsoft?" Yeah, whenever it decides to release. Yeah. No update yet for the Phoenix update planes. Gigliotti, don't expect an update anytime soon. To go back to Phoenix really quickly, the one thing that people are griping about right now, that are so upset about, which I don't understand, is the fact that sharklets are not a thing yet. And majority of those that have created sharklets in the past, i.e. Aerosoft, i.e. Tolis, i.e. Carta with their mod for the flight factor on X-Plane, etc. The sharklets are mere modeled for aesthetics. They're not modeled for what they actually provide to the airplane. Now, for those of you that don't know what a sharklet is, the Airbus has two different types of wingtips. They have a wingtip fence, which is what you see on the Phoenix now, that little triangular looking thing that's on the side of the wing, versus the sharklet, which is the actual winglet that kind of looks like what you would compare to the 737 winglet or a 75 winglet or something like that. Airbus introduced those a while back to their fleet, and it is actually an aerodynamic difference to the airplane. It provides aerodynamic differences. It provides fuel efficiency and a list of other things that my non-pilot mind doesn't know. So you have to keep that in mind. If I know Phoenix, with the way they do their products and how they develop their products, they're going to make the Sharklet as realistic as possible to the aerodynamic differences and fuel efficiency differences that is actually, on the real world airplane when a Sharklet is installed on the side of that wing, because it does change the airplane a bit. It makes it more fuel efficient, makes the aerodynamics a bit easier to fly. So, Phoenix, if I know them better than, what is being said, they are going to model all that stuff. It's not just going to be something they slap on the side of the airplane and say, hey, you got Sharklets now. It's actually going to make differences to the airplane. So cancel the global order and order through US warehouse. You can buy it right now. Okay, I got you, Mamba. I'll take care of that after stream. If you're still in chat, Mamba, if you're still in chat after the podcast, I'll get with you. And I'll have you help me out with that, because I want my FC. I've been saving my money for it. So Tyler says the big thing is the majority of airlines have the Sharklets and not wingtip fences. Well, yeah, but at the same time, Tyler, you can't have them bite off more than they can chew right now, right? Yeah, they have to be able to do it accurately the first time, because knowing Microsoft Flight Simulator fans, or Flight Sim fanboys, as I like to call them, if they don't do it correctly the first time, you might as well just kiss their company goodbye, right? So, Phoenix they probably just want to do it right the first time and keep it that way. They're not getting people's expectations up. They said that the Sharklets would come soon after the 319 and 321, and now, granted, I know they've been delayed for 8 months, because we were supposed to have these airplanes at the end of last year. But I don't see nobody complaining now that we have them, right? So you just got to keep that stuff in mind, right? So I know majority of airlines are operating the Sharklets now because it's a more modern option on the Airbus fleet, but at the same time, you still have wingtip fences being operated on a regular day-to-day basis. So just have patience and let Phoenix work their magic and get it modeled accurately. So when we actually have them in the sim, we can fly a wingtip fence on the 320 versus a Sharklet and see the differences when it comes to the aerodynamics and fuel efficiency of the airplane. So just keep that in mind, because as a flight simmer, me, that's stuff I pay attention to. I don't like something just getting slapped onto the side of an airplane. Or, like, for example, when I was flying the Flight Factor A320 in X-Plane, I threw the IE engine mod from Carta on the side of that airplane with CFM, ECAMs and engine parameters. I hated it. So let them do it accurately the first time, and then we'll get them right. Isaac says Phoenix never settles for less. They always model everything related to it. So with Sharklets, they will model all the differences it will have, from fuel efficiency to handling of the plane. Yeah, exactly. So, we'll go from there, right?
Yeah. Hey, Mike, a couple of things in here. Flight 504 says it took about 3 weeks after pre-ordering the side stick pay, and once I paid it, took 5 to 6 days to receive. Flight 504 says, Fred says, I have the FCU and the quality is insane. Yeah, it sure is.
Mm-hmm.
Also have the WinWings MCPs and HOTUS set, and I love it. I'll agree it takes a while to ship, but once you get it there, it's really quality. So, yeah, it's worth waiting for. Fred also said I should also preface that my HOTAS and MCPs were ordered previous to the U.S. warehouse. I'm not sure exactly what he's meaning there. Isaac, hello. Let's see. Yeah, we're waiting for Andrew from VATSIM to show up, guys. Let's see. Anna, a non-flight simmer says, I'm really enjoying the Phoenix expansion. Also says specifically because I like to fly real routes now and have the 321 and 319 routes in the sims. So also much needed in the flight sim community. Yeah, non-flight simmer. Thanks for that. Kills my skills. Hello. Good to see you too. Guys, just real quick, once again, you are watching and listening to the Virtual Flight Deck, our podcast about flight simulation with MickityyyMike, Al, CST Gaming, and myself, Captain Jack. And, we get in here when we can to discuss some of these things and answer your questions. So be sure to pop questions into both mine and Mike's chat. Smash that thumbs up button on both channels. Once again, as I've said in the past, Mike and Al's got me through last year. Finding them on YouTube was a godsend, and have become good friends. So glad to have you here. Mike, another thing that I wanted to say too is that with the new equipment from Airbus or Phoenix, I should say, what do you see as the future for this company? What do you think they're going to keep doing? Do you think we're going to see more Airbus type products, the larger stuff, the A380 and so on and so forth? What do you think about that?
It's hard to say, right? Because obviously Phoenix's bread and butter since the start of their company has been a 320. And I don't think anybody in both my chat, your chat, or any chat around the world right now will argue that the Phoenix A320 is the most high fidelity Airbus 320 family aircraft we've ever had in a sim. You can argue that the P3D version, whatever that company was, I can't remember their name, is better than the Phoenix, la da 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 da. But when it comes to systems modeling and how the aircraft flies and all that kind of stuff, I mean, you have real world Airbus captains that put these things through the ringer. Like, for example, V1 simulations. Anytime a new Airbus gets released, he reviews it. And now you're talking to a real world major airline Airbus captain within the United States who's been flying for 20 plus years. And just to see, you watch V1 do emergency procedures in this airplane, like V1 cuts, engine fires on V1, taking the Airbus and taking the aircraft into the air after an engine fails on departure, engine failure in flight, and a plethora of other things that a lot of other aircrafts don't have modeled, with the exception of the TOLUS. The TOLUS has their emergency systems modeled very well. But when it comes to the future of the company, it's hard to say, right? Because you now have the 1920-21, their A320 family is, in heavy quotations, guys, I'm putting heavy quotation, guys, complete when it comes to the CEO variants, right? All they have to do is add the sharklets onto the CEO variants, and their 320 family is complete. Now, do they jump into the Neos? Do they do the 320, 321 Neo? Do they do a 319 Neo? Because a lot of people don't know there's 319 Neos in existence who are being operated by airlines across the world. Not many, but I think there are like 2 or 3 airlines across the world that operate the 319 Neo. Do they do that? Do they jump into a wide body Airbus such as the 330? Do we see a Phoenix A330 on the horizon? Do they jump into a different style of airplane like an Embraer? They're like, what? Because I don't see Phoenix as just an Airbus company. I see them as a flight simulation development company. So, I think if I were to bet every subscriber I've got that Phoenix's next project will most likely be the Neo variants of the 320 family. They will probably do Neos, because I could not see them just stopping at the CEO variants and saying, "Hey, we're done with the 320 family," because you add the CEO variant or the Neo variants to the 20 and 21. I don't think anybody would be interested in the 19 Neo, because it's just not an aircraft that is operated by many airlines. But the 20 and 21 Neo, I mean, you got JetBlue, you got Spirit, you got American, you got Delta is now operating the 321 Neo. You got United now operating the 321 Neo, and then a plethora of airlines across the world as well. So I definitely think that their next project will most likely doing the Neo variants of the 20 and 21. Because they do that, you now have 2 different sets of aircraft for the 20 and 21. So you now get 4 more airplanes on top of that, right? Because you have the Pratt Whitney and the CFM Leap variants of the Neo as well, right? So you have both those engine options, which those that don't know what Neo stands for new engine option, which is a more fuel efficient and longer range engine option, where a 321 Neo can do transatlantic flying like the XLR. You have that's another statement on the Neos. You have the LR, the XLR, so on and so forth. So you have like 4 to 6 different variants of airplanes that you could do just by doing the Neos. So when it comes to the fuel configuration and fuel tank configuration of the airplane, so I definitely think that's going to be their next project. I would bet every dollar I got in my account now that is their next project. And then from there, I could see Phoenix diving into an A330 or an Embraer 170, 175. Maybe they do their version of the CRJ. It's hard to say because you have Aerosoft CRJ that you got the 7.5 and 7.6 being done by Bluebird. with the future of a 7.8. Maybe they do a 787. Maybe they compete in the 787 market with Microsoft. I have no idea. But I definitely say their Neo is the next option.
So many airplanes, so little
Yeah.
time. So, a non-flight simmer says, I know V1 always liked the Tolus to stream his recurrency. Has Phoenix changed that now? He's asking, what do you think, Mike?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Like Tolus does a phenomenal job. They do. I flew the Tolus regularly on a regular basis with X-Plane, but with V1 since the Phoenix has dropped 320, and he every recurrent stream I've seen him do when he goes through his 6-month recurrent training and he does all of his V1 cuts and engine failures and this, that, to third, it's always been in the Phoenix now. I think Phoenix has modeled it the most accurate.
Oh, good. And there's
Mr. CST Gaming.
Hey, just popped up while CST gets his camera, everything going there.
What I miss?
Hey, not too much, buddy. Welcome, welcome, welcome. CST Gaming in the house, ladies and gentlemen. How about that?
Yeah. What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
Hey, how'd your flight go
What's
today?
going on? It went great.
Good deal. Of course
awesome.
it did. It's you. There you go. Let's see.
Yeah,
Well,
get a
welcome
window
in.
open here.
Welcome in, CST. We've just been talking about the Airbus and want to get your takes on all that, too. Spikefly says, speaking Tolus, how do you think about the, I guess, the A330 news? Now, I'm not up on that, Mike. Is there some A330 news out there?
Yeah. Tolus kind of dropped the bomb on the X-Plane community. What was it, about a week ago? Maybe less, maybe 4 days ago, that they have an A330-900 Neo that is coming to the X-Plane market by Tolus.
Okay.
So I would put this in very, very, very layman terms, Jack, but to give you comparison between the Tolus and the Phoenix, Tolus is up there with comparison to the Phoenix on X-Plane side. Now, in my opinion, Phoenix is, in my personal opinion, a whole hell of a lot better than the Tolus. But the Tolus is still up there with one of the more high fidelity airplanes available for X-Plane. I flew the Tolus 19, 20, and 21 religiously in X-Plane. So they now have a 330 coming to the market. Now, granted, it's the 900 Neo. I think I saw a lot of comments on Facebook about that, about a lot of people being upset that it's not a CEO variant, the 200 or the 300 or something like that. But nonetheless, another 330 is coming to the market for X-Plane. So Tolus also did an A340 600. What was it, CST, about a year ago? They released that airplane or something like that. So they're just adding to their Airbus market. So they're going to have the 320 family with the exception of the 320 CEO variant, because they haven't done a CEO variant because they have an agreement with Flight Factor not to do a CEO variant, because Flight Factor does the 320 CEO variant, which is stupid in my opinion. Don't get me started on that. I could talk for hours about that. But now they've got the 320 family, now a 330 Neo and a 340. So they're kind of just expanding their horizons when it comes to the Airbus products that are available.
Yeah, CST, we've been talking primarily about the new Phoenix pack that's out with the new aircraft. I think you've been flying that a little bit. Tell us some of your opinions, and welcome. Good to see you, man. Welcome back from your vacation. We really missed you while you were gone, and man, it's so good to have you back in the live streaming here. How's it going? Tell us what you think.
It's going great. Give me 1 second. Let me put this on my Discord real quick. There you go. And let me come back on this screen. All right, cool. So the Phoenix, the Phoenix is great, man. I mean, nothing. I can't say nothing negative about the Phoenix, aside from the fact that I guess the Phoenix motto is better later than never, since they delivered about 6 to 8 months late on their promise.
Yeah.
So they gave us 2 variations of an aircraft that were supposed to come out December last year. They finally gave us to us this month. Sharklets was supposed to be out January of this year, and we still haven't even heard about Sharklets. So when I see people putting Phoenix on such a high pedestal, I agree with the fact that they provide us with some good high fidelity aircraft. However, let's not forget the fact that they were 8 months late on their promise. Again, it is what it is. We finally got them. We have them. We are enjoying them, and it's a level of enjoyment that will keep going forever, right? Until you done flying those airplanes, right? So for the price, I think for you, whatever, $40 for the expansion pack, you're gonna be flying the things for many years to come. So to think that so much enjoyment costs so little in my book. Hey, that's fantastic. The tallest side of the house coming out with the 330s. Um, I, I have a lot of respect for Tallest. I think Tallest is um, maybe not by far, but it's in my opinion, it's still a superior product over the Phoenix when it comes to fidelity and functionality. However, the Phoenix is not a bad product. Let's be fair. I'm not saying the Phoenix is garbage. I'm saying that if I was to grade both products on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say that Phoenix is 9 and Tallest is 10. So they're not really that far apart, to be quite honest with you. But I see that little bit of more um, uh, fidelity and functionality out of the Tallest that I have in the Phoenix. And it might come in a form of the application that comes with it where you can simulate different stuff, and it just adds a little bit more that maybe your real pilots would enjoy. But as far as flight simmers is concerned, people like you and me, uh it makes no difference, right? So those planes are pretty much right there neck to neck, right? um so yeah, the Phoenix, I enjoy them very much. And the reason why I bring this up is I was reading a comment about on flight on the FS Elite News the other day. They were talking about the PMDG. I think it was the PMDG 777, and delay into the with the release or the beta testing, all the because the PMDG just came out with an article saying, hey, they're delaying the the process is going to be somewhat delayed, right, of the release of the 777 freighter. And if that's delayed, the only assumption is that everything else is going to get pushed as well, right, along the line. So somebody in the comment, you know, I don't know who this person was, never heard of him, but somebody in the comment over there on FS Elite was like, "Well, PMDG should take notes from Phoenix. They told us about their release, a few days before they actually released it." I'm like, "Really, dude? That tells me that you know nothing about anything, right? When it comes to flight simulation, because again, Phoenix was supposed to release these airplanes last year, right? Sure, they announced that they were going to release it like 3 or 4 days before they actually released it in in August. That's literally 8 months after they said they were going to release it. So you can't tell PMDG to take notes from Phoenix, because you'll be telling them to keep releasing
Delay
shit
it by
late.
months. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways, I agree with the fact that sometimes some developers might abuse the teasers and updates. I take for example, I've been looking a lot at this iFly 737 Max that's supposed to be coming out sometime within the next few years. Who knows when? But there really been 1 to 2 articles about this damn airplane every week, right, with pictures and updates. And yes, that crap gets old in my book. But hey, it gets old for me. It might be exciting for you. You see what I'm saying? So I can't just be selfish and be like, oh, I don't want to see this crap no more. At the same time, that the guy next to me might be like, yeah, I want to see more updates. I want to see more pictures. I want to see more things. I want to see them every day. So hey, to each their own. I tend to get tired of the teasers and the pictures and the updates every week, or twice a week. So sure, give me an update. Let me know where you at in the stage of development. Let me know when we might be looking at a release. It doesn't have to be exact, but you could say, hey, we're looking at a Q4 release. We're looking at a Q3 release, right? It doesn't have to be on the 1st of August, right? I get it. People run into speed bumps, but in the development process, as far as my field is concerned, when you're doing something, when you're developing something, right? Whenever you come out with a release or a completion date, as a business, you account for the delays, you account for the missteps, you account for all this stuff, right? It's built into the process. So you can't possibly tell me that a company like PNDG or Phoenix or any other that's big name developers cannot tell you when this airplane is going to be completed, right? I find that pretty hard to believe. And the other thing that irritates me with the developers process is 5 years, 5 years to develop a fake airplane, dude. I don't know, dude. If I was in the business of developing airplanes and it took me 5 years to develop one airplane, I'd probably quit. I would probably be like, this is not my field, dude. it can't possibly take me 5 years to develop an airplane because uh, it's not making me money. I want to develop 3, 4, 5 airplanes in 1 year. Let's go, right? And at the same time, I don't want to be releasing garbage like LVFR and Flight Sim Studio and so many other of the crappy developers that are making money off of the young flight simulator that doesn't know any better, right? So, hey,
CST, that's just the thing. That's just the thing. Two things. One, we should put you in charge of Boeing. You know, you should be Boeing CEO because you'll kick some butt and take no names and get some stuff done in there. And then second of all, you know, you're kind of like a radio talk show host. They're paid to have an opinion, so opinions are good. And you know, I think that we can bring a lot of great information here to the flight sim community through this podcast. A non-flight simmer says, really great to have both options. Tolas A312 was my first Airbus, taught me all I know about flying the Airbus. That's, or 321 rather. And even though he's now an MSFS fanboy, as Mikey puts it, and I am too. I used to fly X-Plane as well. Boeing Aviation was in here and stopped by, and one question that I also had in the chat, guys, is what do you think about iFly's previews that they've had out? Mike, I'll go to you first on this one. What do you think about iFly's previews?
Well, I kind of agree with the notion of what CST says. I'm not for the hype of reviewing the airplane and teasing it and this, that, third. It's just like it's like that I think it was a State Farm commercial or something like that, where the guy was with the fishing pole and he was holding the dollar bill up to that person in the store saying, "Oh, you gotta be quicker than that. You almost got it." That's kind of how I think about these teasers for these airplanes that are supposed to be hitting the market soon. Now, iFly is a credited developer, if you would. They developed on Flight Simulator X and P3D back in the day with their 737 NG. And now that they're doing the Max, like, yeah, I'm excited for it. Like, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I have learned as a flight simmer, I think, and I think there's a lot of people that will jump into this category with me, that I do not get excited until the airplane is released. Once the plane is released, then you will see some excitement from me saying, "Oh my gosh, we finally have what's supposed to be one of the most high fidelity 737 Maxes we've ever seen." Which, to be fair, we have never seen a high fidelity 737 Max. Now, those X-Plane guys are going to shoot me in the comments for this, because they can sit here and argue all day that Walter White 737 Max was a high fidelity 737. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. That thing flew like garbage. It sounded like garbage. The engine textures are terrible. So you can miss me with that. You can fight with me in the comments if you want. But we haven't seen a proper 737 Max with high fidelity system modeling and all that kind of stuff in a simulator yet. So I think the Max market is definitely going to be a market of competitiveness between developers who are deciding to do this airplane. And right now, as we know that it is confirmed that iFly and PMDG are the only two that are touching this airplane as of right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how the airplanes compare to one another. But again, we can't compare them until we have them. So you know, I'm interested in flying the iFly as a content creator. Obviously, I'm going to buy the airplane when it comes out, and if it's terrible, I'm going to say it's terrible. It's just an opinion, right? If it's fantastic, I will say it's fantastic, right? But too many times, again, and I say this all the time, I think we feed developers too much credit. It's like, I understand what goes into the development process of a payware style aircraft that is supposed to be high fidelity, or quotational study level. I don't use the term study level because if it's not level D, it's not study level. Then you know, I think we give them too much credit, because they're like, "Oh my gosh, well, this company's doing this, well, this company's doing that, well, this company's doing this, and this company's doing that." It's like, do. When is it going to be done? You know, so when it comes down to it, you know, I'm excited for it. Don't get me wrong, but as you can see in my expressions now, the excitement doesn't show, because it's just pictures right now. You know, I could post a picture of a 737 Max on a flight simulator forum tomorrow saying, "Hey, 737 Max in development by MickityyyMike Simulations," and get the community going on that. But until we have it, there's nothing to be excited about.
CST, I imagine you're more or less of the same opinion on that. The iFly previews. What do you think?
Well, I mentioned that before already, and yeah, it's to me. I don't want to see previews. I'm at the level where I've been doing this for a couple of days now, and I don't want to see previews. I don't want to see teasers. Give me the plane, right? I want to fly it. I can care less about. The only thing I would like for developers to do is give me an update on the development process and let me know when runabout I'm supposed to be able to enjoy the aircraft. That's all I care about. I don't care about, hey, look at the picture of this main mount we just refined, or look at the picture of this wing, look at the picture of the overhead. You know, you can spare me all that stuff, right? But again, there's people out there that love that kind of stuff. They love to look at that stuff too, once or twice a week and kind of figure out, kind of be like, okay, where are they at now? Did they do this? Did they do that? Oh, that looks cool. That looks great. I'm not that person, right? So I tend to stay away. The only reason why I look at it as much as I do is because I feed my Discord with news and updates from FS Elite and then Threshold. So I actually look at them every time they come out, and every time they come out, I'm like, oh, here's another update. Oh, here's another update, right? And I when I tell you I'm not lying, it's when I saw the when was it, like last week I think, FS Elite on my channel popped up and said, hey, develop an update from PMDG. The very first thing I said before I even clicked and went to read what it was about, I was like, I bet you it's a delay. I already knew it. Like I already knew it was going to be a delay, right? That's because that's what we've seen from developers day in and day out. They keep delaying. They run into issues, whatever. Some delay and it's a few weeks. Some delay and it's months, right? So it's like, what? Right? To me, a delay is not 8 months. To me, a delay is a couple of weeks, a couple of days. Hey, look, we're running into some issues. It's going to be a couple more weeks. You know, Phoenix is like, hey, we're running into some issues. We're not going to tell you when it's going to get released. Sorry, see you later. And then they go radio silence, quiet, nothing for months, right? And then they wonder why the flexing community is like, what the hell's going on? Where's the planes? You said, and that's why these developers are getting into the common practice on their part to not tell us when stuff is going to get developed, or when where they had in the development process, and not tell us when we might see a release. To me, I don't get it, because it should be in the best of their interest to release planes as quickly and as efficiently as possible, right? When if I'm in the money making business and I make planes, then I need to make planes, right? And it needs to be an efficient and timely fashion. I think if it takes me 5 years, like I said, to make a plane, I'm going to stop making planes. I'm gonna do something else, right? Because that's obviously not the way I would make a living, right? There's money to be made in the flexing community if you're a developer and you know what to do, And when I say that there's money to be made, there's money to be made even for the subpar developers, and we see that day in and day out. It irritates me to no limit, but there's nothing I can do about it. The only thing I can do about it is speak to the community on streams and videos and stuff like that on Discord, right? But I'm not going to be able to capture the whole community. I'm a small channel. I'm nobody, right? So, um, but my opinion is based on experience, right? So if I tell you this is garbage, I'm not trying to be negative like some little teammate would think on his channel and talk shit about me. I'm just telling you because I know this stuff, right? I've been doing it for a long time, and I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just letting you know, hey, don't waste your money on this crap. Just wait, right? Um, but some people think that I'm negative, or I don't portray the right message, and they don't like me because I tell them that Captain Sim is a bad aircraft, right? Um, Again, the iFly thing with the previews and all that good stuff. Some people like it. I don't. I don't care. I just want to know when can I fly it.
You know,
Um,
CST,
yeah.
not to interrupt you, but I got some real good comments in here to kind of follow up with that will be good. Let's see. Spikefly says with the iFly and PMDG, keep this question in mind, guys. With the iFly and PMDG, which do you think will get more attention? A non-flight simmer says, I wonder why we often feel like in the flight sim community that words like terrible and fantastic are not just subjective terms for a newbie, high fidelity is a big ask, for example. Also says, I remember the first time I loaded the Zebo and X-Plane 11, and I can relate to this. Looked up at the overhead and went, I need a brew, or about 2 weeks on a YouTube channel. Let's see. He also says, I'm a grown man, almost 40 years old. Younger simmer may not be able to locate the manuals and the guidance for high fidelity. And Anon, I'll tell you, that's part of what we're here for. That's exactly what we're trying to do here on this channel. Is part of it is help people understand where they can go to find some of this information, how they can learn. You know, YouTube, you can learn how to do everything from crack an egg to program a computer. You know, everything in between. We say, you know, check a YouTube channel, but that's how I've learned probably a good 75%. And honestly, I've learned the other 25% from watching CST and MickityyyMike and Owls, because they're the three that, you know, they're my buddies on top of it, but I watch their channels predominantly, and a smattering of some others. Really like Daryl Dad's stuff, by the way. But anyway, you know, we're here to do that. And Anon also says, I don't mind the lower fidelity as long as they state it very clearly. I think that's pretty clear too, and that way no one who wants high fidelity can get conned. And some of the terms that we use, you know, study level, high fidelity, this, that, and the other. What is it? You know, what does it mean exactly? So, you know, those are all, as you said, subjective. But what do you think, guys, with iFly and PMDG? Which do you think will get more attention? Let's start with that, Mike. CST. Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna hit on that, but I was gonna say it depends, right? It all depends. There's some people are gonna get both because you know some people like you know streamers or content creator that might want to compare the two or whatever, right? Me, I already know what PMDG is capable of. Obviously, I think we all do. So I'm of the thing for me is I fly as a developer as a real good chance to prove themselves and install themselves in the developing world, right? For flight sim, right? Because the last time they developed something was the P3T days. It was supposedly I never tried it. Supposedly it was a good quality 737 Max. Now everybody knows they're porting their 737 from P3D to Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, which is not a bad thing, essentially, right? As long as they do it right. But what I was trying to say when I say they have a very good chance to introduce themselves to the Microsoft Flight Simulator community is give us a quality, high fidelity 737 MAX 8 before PMDG releases theirs. Because I will tell you right now, if PMDG releases their 737 MAX before iFly is no one. iFly is done, right? Nobody's going to buy iFly. Who's going to buy iFly? I'm not going to buy iFly. But if they release it before PMDG does, I'll be a first day release buyer of the iFly 737 Max. But if I have the PMDG before the iFly, I wouldn't even look at the iFly anymore. I wouldn't even care unless somebody tells me, "Hey, this iFly 737 Max is 10 times better than PMDG," which I doubt. But that will be the only case you would see me fly the iFly 737 Max is if we don't have a PMDG first, or if for some strange reason it becomes a far more realistic, fidelity wise, whatever you might, right? Better than PMDG. That's the only that will be the only way. Again, iFly has a really good chance of establishing themselves, but they got to release this thing like right now. Otherwise, they're gonna miss the window. They're gonna miss the opportunity to make a name for themselves because not a lot of people know them. Not a lot of people do P3D, right? There's only like the P3D community is very, very, very small. So a lot of people, Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, they don't know why Fly is. They're like, "What the hell is this people?" Right? So they need to do it, and they need to do it now. Otherwise, they're gonna be forgotten. They're gonna be that in my eyes, they're probably gonna be put down there with the level of some other developers that I don't want to keep mentioning that I think they're garbage. But uh, that might shock us. We'll see.
Mike, what do you think?
I have a
I have a tendency to agree with what CST is saying. I think iFly has an opportunity to put themselves on the market if they release prior to PMDG. I agree with that to an extent. Um, I do think that if PMDG beats them to the market, that iFly isn't going to cease to exist. Nor do I think that people won't pay attention to their product, because we all know what PMDG is capable of doing. But this is the first time that PMDG is touching a max, so there could be some sort of learning curve that PMDG has to go through prior to the max becoming what PMDG products are. Um, Now, granted, there are subtle differences between the NG and the Max. It's basically just wing, engine, and some system differences. Um, but um, when it comes to iFly's Max and all that kind of stuff, I do agree that they need to be the first to the market in order to be competitive. Because if PMDG releases their Max prior to iFly, I mean, if PMDG releases it and it's what PMDG is, which is high fidelity airplanes, then I don't see the normal everyday simmer purchasing both just to have both. As a content creator, it has its market, right? Because people would want to know my opinions, and I can't form an opinion unless I fly both. Um, so I do agree with CST to an extent when it comes to that, but I do think that if PMDG releases first, that iFly still has a chance, because we don't know if PMDG's 7.3 is going, their max is going to be good right out the gate. Knowing PMDG, it's probably going to be right, but there's that chance where they made a mistake, they made a hiccup. There are some things that need to be changed, and iFly might come out the gate saying, "Hey, here's my stuff," right? And there's a chance for them to be competitive between the two. Um, for me, again, it's as I don't even want to call myself a content creator. I just say as someone who does YouTube. I think I think definitely there is a market for iFly to hit the ground running, but is this going to be their only product? Right? They might just say, "Hey, here's a 737 Max. We might hit you with a Max 9 later, but as of right now, this is what you got. We're not doing nothing else." And that might just be who it is. Um, so when it comes to iFly as a development standpoint, I have never flown their airplanes. Um, I knew that they developed back in the P3D and FSX days, but I had the PMDG, and that kind of hits CST's comment on the head with a hammer, right? It's like I had the PMDG. I saw no I saw no necessity to have the iFly in my sim, because I had the PMDG and it was all I needed. Um, so um, yeah, I agree. I think iFly needs to hit the market first, but I do see the chance that PMDG makes some mistakes along the way with the Max, because this is the first time they're doing this airplane. So at
Okay.
the same time, it is PMDG. I doubt they will, but I could see it happening.
Very good. Very good. A couple of more comments from a non-flight simmer. Mike, I don't know if you've got anybody in your chat. A non-flight simmer says, with my business head on, I'm not competing with PMDG. No point. They have the high fidelity market already. The smart business move is semi-fidelity. That's interesting. How many flight simmers do you think are wanting that absolute realism, wanting that absolute, we'll call it fidelity for lack of a better words there? Do you see the flight sim market as being able to sustain, uh, a lesser quality type situation? Or do you think that, every airplane more or less should be just as, hot rocking and flame throwing in quality as possible? Mike, what do you think on that one?
It's hard to say. Um, for those that grew up in my era, in the FS 2004 FSX P3D days, being a young teen flying those sims, I think that those simmers are the ones that are wanting the high fidelity stuff. Um, Nowadays, I have people in my chat all the time that say Latin VFR is feasible, or the fly by wire is better than the Phoenix, and da 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 da. And it just depends on the market that these developers are aiming for, right? Captain Sim gets a lot of shit, and they just rebranded themselves to what, something 360. I can't remember. But they said it from the get go. It's like, this is for Xbox. This ain't for those high fidelity sim. And the reason Captain Sim gets a lot of shit is because Captain Sim was that high fidelity um, developer back in the day. Um, but they aimed for a market, and hell, they hit it. You know, so if that's the market they're trying to go for, to the low fidelity to mid fidelity aircraft, to those that can be flown on both the PC and Xbox platform, then by all means, it just depends. It genuinely depends. Like I fly both the fly by wire and the AnyBuilds 320 Neo. The AnyBuilds 320 Neo, in my opinion, is a decent airplane. Is it the best? By no means, no shot at all. Is it the best of the best? But um, it's flyable, And at the end of the day, when it comes to it, I'll keep my segment short on this. It just depends on the market that the development team wants to hit. If they want to hit that mid fidelity market, like Latin VFR and fly by wire and the um, plethora of other airplanes that are out there, then that's their market. But if they want to be a competitor in this high fidelity market, then they need to hit the ground running. They need to do what majority of these new developers have done, that have come to Microsoft and hit the ground running. Phoenix was a competitor from day one. Now, we can sit here and argue delays and this, that, the third, and la da 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 da, but their product speaks for itself. And am I saying that's acceptable? By no means. No means. If you set a goal, you need to do your best to hit it, or within a certain time frame hit it. Not 8 months. I do agree with CST that 8 months is a bit ridiculous when it comes to delays. And same with PMDG. You see update status, then CST's saying right before he clicked, he's like, this is a fucking delay. And he clicks on it, boom, delay. It's like that's a market that needs to cease to exist. Now, I'm not saying you can't delay your product, but fuck, by months, you know. But again, if a developer's aiming for the middle market, go for the middle market. But if you're a high fidelity developer and you're trying to make a name for yourself, you need to hit the ground running. Your first product needs to be the best of the best.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. CST, over to you on that one.
Well, I will tell you this: that ever since Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 came out, um, the market has been different. It changed. It changed drastically because before Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 came out, the flight sim was a flight sim, right? You needed a PC. You couldn't do it without a PC, right? Unless you went to X-Plane, you could have done it with a Mac. But aside from X-Plane, if you wanted to fly sim on something other than X-Plane, you needed a PC, right? So whenever Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 came out and they introduced Xbox, right? It totally revamped. It totally changed the whole flight simulation industry, I think. And to me and some others, it might have been not such a good thing. But when you're looking at the business side of the whole thing, it was a very, very, very smart move, right? Because they just opened up to so many more customers, right? It's insane, right? If it wasn't for them um, doing what they did and bringing flight simulation to console, um, that would probably made a third of the money that what they made so far with Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. And I think that's part of the reason why here in a few months we're going to have a new simulator is because of that fact, right? That being able to succeed in making that money, right, for development of a new sim. Uh, do I am I mad because of it? I'm not mad. It introduces the hobby to a whole lot, a much wider pool of individuals. Uh, the people on Xbox that fly the plane, they it's a different market, right? It's a different niche. Like they might not care about fidelity right now, right? Because it's a young teenager or even preteen, and all they want to do is, oh look, I'm gonna fly this plane, chase view with a controller, right? An Xbox controller, and it looks great, right? That's all they care about. They don't care about anything else. They want to push a button, get the thing started, spot on the runway, and go, right? That's all they care about. And look at the pretty sights, and do Mach 2 on an F-18. That's what they want to do. Um, and some of those people, right? Some of those kids will develop one day to having a PC, right? And starting to look for fidelity, because the more you do it, the more you're gonna start seeing people on YouTube doing legitimate flights, doing it by the book or trying to do it as best as they can. They're gonna see some of the real pilots out there on YouTube, doing real flights, and they're gonna evolve to be the flight simmer that we care about in our community, right? So I don't think that's such a bad thing. But again, going back to the market, hey, where does the fidelity thing stand? And that's why we part of the reason why I don't like the Xbox side of flight simulation is because it introduced this low level, um, money hungry, uh, money grubbing, I guess is a better word, developers, like Latin VFR and Captain Sim and Redoc and Virtual Coal. And I mean, should I go on? There's so many of them.
Yeah.
All they're doing is they're trying to make that they're making money, right? And I can tell you this right now, all right, and I'm not ashamed of it. If I had the level of knowledge that people at Bredoc and and Virtual Call have to make a shitty product like they do and make all this money out of it, I would do it right now. I would make a plane that flies, that looks like the plane that flies, right? And sell it to these young kids on Xbox and make a killing and laugh my way to the bank. I would do it, right? But because I am on the other side of the aisle here, right, I am very upset about this, right? Because they're literally money grabbing all the people, right? They don't know any better, right? These kids, you might have a teenager that's looking for an high fidelity plane, and they see Captain Sim. They're like, oh, look, a 777. This is great. Oh, it's only 20, $30. This is awesome, right? And they don't know any better, right? And then come to find out they get scammed out of $30 because they were looking for a PMDG level of aircraft 777, right? But like again, they didn't know this. So now they're stuck with the Captain Sim. And now that they see people like, Captain Canada or, you know, even us flying the good PMDG 777, they're like, oh, now I gotta go buy this thing. Now they gotta spend another $70, right? On top of the money that got scammed from with Captain Scam or anybody else. So that's what I'm mad about, right? Now there's some people might say, well, Captain Sim tells you that it's not, the systems are basic 747 systems and all that good stuff and yada yada yada. That's great, but which kid that's 14 years old is going to go in there and read and actually know what the hell he's buying, right? He's just going to see a 777, he's going to buy it, right? So yeah, I'm fortunate enough to where I know the difference. So I was done wasting money. Actually, I've wasted a lot of money because I still picked it up anyway. Because it's like, I want to fly this thing. Let me see, because you see other people. You see, oh, you go on flightsim.to and you see, oh, hey, this is a compatibility mod and it renders this aircraft flyable and all this good stuff. So I try it, right? I try it. Um, but yeah, that stuff is not even installed on my computer anymore. It's deleted. It's gone. Right. I've had the LVFRs and I've had the Captain Sims, um, and I had the Bredoc 737 Max. Right. Uh, a lot of those planes, I would say at least 90% of them, I bought before we even had a CRJ in the sim, right? So we didn't have anything. That's all we had, right? That's all we had because these developers were like copy and paste and send it, right? And they didn't care if the thing performed like it should. They just making money. Um, so I tried it out. I fell for it. Well, I don't want to say I fell for it because I kind of had an
I
idea,
will.
right? I was going to get ripped off, but I did it anyway, right? So again, when I tell these people, do not buy this 777 by Captain Sim, do not buy this plane by LVFR, do not buy this plane by Virtual Call. I'm not telling these people not to buy it because I think that they're not good. I know they're not good because already spent the money for you. So don't go and waste your money on this crap. Trust me when I tell you, these planes suck. Wait for the good stuff to come out. And if you don't
Save your
care
money.
about fidelity, then by all means, go buy yourself a Captain Scam, dude.
Yeah, save your money and wait for the good stuff if you're gonna. No, there's room for both. There's room for the gamers. There's room for people who want to do that, but they don't need to be getting on VATSIM and they don't need to be doing all this other kind of stuff. I tell you, we've all experienced lately. CST, you put out a couple of the funniest videos. We've all experienced lately. In my last stream, there was this kid on, and we don't need to go off on this huge bunny trail necessarily, especially since EJ and Andrew, it doesn't look like is going to make it. By the way, we will have to wrap up in about a half hour, guys, and I do have a couple of specific questions for you. But we were just laughing. CJ or CST was laughing, and I was laughing watching his stream. There was some young kid, and we've all had this on there that sound like they're about 5 years old, getting on VATSIM the other night when I was doing my sim from PDX into Vegas. There was this kid trying to get the Vegas controller or the LA Center controller to simply flight follow him, and he kept asking questions and kept asking questions and kept asking questions. And I couldn't get a word in edgewise. And if you guys go back and if you haven't yet, you should watch the replay of the last 15 minutes of my stream from Wednesday night and have a good laugh, and we'll all have it on Captain Jack. And there you go. But I got so far behind the airplane and really was getting so frustrated because I couldn't get a word in edgewise. So, guys, as we've said in this stream before, know how to operate your airplane. And I was behind the curve on the 777, and I should have known it better. I should have taken my own advice that night. Know how to operate your airplane. Don't get on and be silly in VATSIM. It's just not something we need to be doing. And the gamers need to understand that, if you're just going to do it and not at least have fun, of course, have fun, enjoy the hobby, enjoy the equipment, enjoy the aircraft, enjoy what you can do, but don't be tying up necessarily. And I'm making a statement here. Those of us who are at least trying to halfway anyway, in my case, be somewhat serious with the use of VATSIM, trying to learn it, trying to grow into it. I was once again hoping EJ and Andrew could be here, but it doesn't look like they're going to make it. I know you guys will have some definite thoughts on that. So if you can give me a couple of thoughts on that, let's see. I've been talking 2 minutes there. If you can keep it to 2 minutes or less, that'd be great. But I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Works, yeah.
Mike, go ahead.
So I just experienced this last night. As you guys know, Owl celebrated his 20K sub celebration yesterday. He's flying to PC-12, so I joined in. I was flying the default TBM 930 with the G3000 cockpit, which honestly, guys, if you haven't tried this airplane, you got to try it. The TBM is a fantastic airplane in the sim. And I was flying from an airport that Noah actually turned me on to, a little Cameron Air Park in Northern California, just east of Sacramento. It's literally an airport that is built into a subdivision of houses where the taxiways are your roadways. You can taxi your airplane right up to the driveway of your home. It is awesome. It is a freeware scenery on the Flights MTO, and it's really cool. But I was flying from there to North Las Vegas Municipal Airport, which is the general aviation airport that we have just on the northeast side of town here in Vegas. And while flying along, we had a guy key up on the frequency with LA Center, because LA Center was actually on at 1 o'clock in the morning, and ask for an IFR clearance. And he was flying a general aviation aircraft, and majority of you guys know that every general aviation aircraft has a tail number in the United States that starts with November, so on and so forth, with the registration behind it. And he keyed up and called himself Zero Golf Whiskey. So LA Center was like, hey, I need your full call sign. I need your full tail number registration on your flight plan in order for me to give you services. And the guy was like, I don't really know what all that is. I'm just trying to fly. And I was like, okay. So I keyed up and I said, hey, go to your exterior view of your airplane, give him the number that starts with the letter N as in November, and put that on your flight plan. That is your full tail number registration. That's what needs to be on. I'm all for getting onto the network and learning. I'm all for that.
Absolutely.
As long as you have a general basic consensus of how your airplane operates, you can then learn from VATSIM on how to operate on VATSIM along the way. Because that's how I did it. I knew how to fly the airplane. All I needed to do was hop on the network and now learn ATC. Because the best way to learn is by doing it. You know, that's what my flight instructor told me when I was a student pilot. He's like, "Hey, you're on comms, dude. This is how you're gonna learn. Just do it." Um, and he said he didn't even he's like, I don't even know where the tail number is on the airplane. And from there, he then registered on VATSIM under the regular Microsoft tail number. As you guys see, it was like Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Foxtrot or something like that that goes on the side of the airplanes, like some Microsoft registration. And the controller said, "Hey, dude, this is this is the Microsoft registration. I need the actual aircraft tail number registration." Um, and he finally got it figured out. And while he was flying, he was telling the controller, he's like, "Hey, I'm still learning this airplane. I'm still learning all the ATC stuff." And the controller came back. He's like, "Hey, I'm here for it. I'll help you out, but I need you to have a little bit more of a general understanding of how to operate your airplane. We're slow right now, so I'm willing to help you. But you know, if I was busy, I'd be telling you to disconnect." And the guy was very understanding of that. He's like, "All right, man, I got you. I'll learn a little bit more before I connect the next time, and we'll go from there." But that's what I love to see, is like getting the basic understanding of like, "Hey, I need to learn a little bit more before I step into this." Um, but you know, that's just that. It's I tell people all the time, learn your airplane, know your airplane in and out before you hop on the VATSIM network. You need to know how to fly the plane. You can learn how to communicate along the way, but you need to know how to fly your plane. The first three rules of aviation, the first thing is aviate. You have to know how to fly your airplane. If you don't know how to fly your airplane, the rest is going to set you up for failure, right? Because now, with not knowing how to fly your airplane, you do not know how to talk to ATC, you do not know how to request flight following, you do not know how to clear yourself through a Class Bravo airspace transition, you do not know how to set up an ILS, you don't know how to do, I can go on and on and on and on and on. You know how to fly your airplane, the rest will come easy, you know, because learning ATC lingo, that'll come in time. You might not say the right things to begin with, but I didn't get to the point where I'm at now just by not doing it. I got to the point that I'm at now, knowing what to say, knowing how to request different things in this, that, and third, by knowing how to fly my airplane, by aviating, knowing how to navigate my way through an airspace, aviate, navigate, and then third, communicate. So make sure you know how to aviate and navigate before you learn how to communicate.
You know, Mike, one thing I'm wondering here too is, there is an entry test, and CST, then I'll come to you for this. And a non-flight simmer has filled up my chat with great stuff. Mike, I don't know if you're seeing that as well, or CST, if you can see my chat, but he makes some good points in there that you guys might want to address. But, there's that initial test that you have to kind of study. Maybe VATSIM needs to tighten it up a little bit. Maybe it needs to be a little more restrictive. I'm just posing this, a little more restrictive in how easy it is to get onto the network. Because if this guy didn't even know his tail number, I'm surprised that he could even pass the entry registration test to get onto VATSIM.
Well, I'll tell you, in my opinion, the entry exam into VATSIM is pointless because you can literally Google the answers.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do is you have to take the question and say, "Hey, what is transition level in the United States?" 18,000 feet. It's going to tell you every aviation educational website out there will tell you that U.S. transitional altitude is 18,000. What does ILS stand for? You can look that up. Yeah. What altitude do you need to be at if you're flying eastbound? You need to be at an altitude. Google will fucking tell you that. So I think the entry exam is kind of pointless in my opinion. But with VATSIM being such a major network, I don't see them being able to steer away from that. I think they need to tighten it up a little bit. I think they need to make the questions maybe a little bit more complicated, like kind of understanding what an ILS is versus what it stands for. Um, you know, it's hard because it's an educational network where the age restriction is set all the way down to 13 years old, because you can start getting your pilot's license at 15, 16 years old in the United States, which blows my mind. You can fly an airplane, but you can't drive a car.
Right. Right.
When it comes to it, I don't see that VATSIM will have the ability to steer away from that, because that's been how they have been getting um, their registration done with the VATSIM network. Now, Pilot Edge does it the right way. Pilot Edge will not let you fly on the network unless you pass a check ride. So you need to be able to do a full flight with zero hiccups, minimal hiccups, I should say, before you can gain access to the Pilot Edge network. But now
Yeah.
Pilot Edge is a paid service where their controllers are actually paid by the owner of Pilot Edge.
Right.
So I don't see VATSIM being able to do that, because it's such a massive network. There are hundreds of thousands of users that log on every day. So if they're able to tighten it up a little bit and make the quiz a little bit more complicated, then yeah. But I mean, you saw it on CST's page the other day, right? You have someone that's keying up on the network that sounds 5 to 6 years old at max, flying on the VATSIM network. You can even lie about your age, and the VATSIM people wouldn't even know it. They wouldn't know it, because they can't discriminate against it. They can't sit here and say, I don't believe you're 13 years old, because someone, oh, you're discriminating. Oh, da, 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 da. You know, how do they just need to up their security, and they need to up the the challenge of the test, because the test, you can just Google the fucking answers.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, that's how I got my VATSIM account when I was younger. Now
Yeah.
that account got suspended. Let's be fair. So when I got my new account, it was a little bit more legitimate. But um, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see VATSIM being able to make it any more complicated than it already is to get there.
Yeah, once again, hello, Mark. Welcome. Good to have you in here. Anon Flight Simmer is making a lot of hard and respectable statements in there. Actually,
Mhm.
Anon,
I've been reading them.
too many to repeat them all. But yeah, I think they could probably tighten it up a bit. But Mike, you're right. It's such a large thing, and there's so many people doing it. It would probably be hard to go back. CST, what do you think?
I mean, they should be able to put things in place to maybe police some of this stuff. Um, Obviously, that they're not looking to get your you know birth certificate or anything like that. Neither do I expect them to ask for a birth certificate or anything of that nature. I already think that the uh, one of the rules that VetSim has, to where you got to provide your real name, needs to be displayed on blah blah blah. I think that's a stupid ass rule to begin with. Um, because I've seen so many people name Joe Smith on VetSim that it just blows my mind. Or Mike Farva, and people from movies, John Travolta. I'm like, really, dude? Okay,
Tom
that's
Cruise. I've
great.
seen Tom Cruise. I've
Yeah,
seen
it's
Maverick.
so why even have that rule where people, 80% of the people on Betsy are breaking the rule to begin with, right? So it's stupid, right? They have no way of proving people's identity anyway. So why even make a rule of that nature? Just let people join, give them an ID number, which they do, and leave it at that. You don't need to know the people's names and address and social security numbers or any of that crap. So going back uh to the little, what I like to call the little team is on VetSim. Um, yes, there's many things they can do. I think I talked with Ann and people on my Discord about this particular subject all the time, right? Because about a year ago or so, when I first started getting back into the flight simulation, um, streaming, right? Um, I started having people in Discord, and it used to be raging. It used to upset me to a very high level to hear that type of stuff on Vets and hear the people that don't know what the hell they're doing. Oh, my autopilot isn't working. Well, you controlling the autopilot, you idiot. What do you mean it's not working? If it's not working, it's your fault, right? If the plane is doing something that it's not supposed to do, it's your fault, right? Fly the plane, right? Anyways, it used to upset me a lot. Now, understanding that yes, there is things that Batsim could do, but they're not going to. I don't care at this point. My one and sole and only mission is to expose all these idiots on Batsim, right? And it's great. I love it. It gives me content. It gives me something to put on my YouTube shorts. So Timmy's, Timmy's, a little milkers, a little people that don't know what the hell they're doing on Batsim, please bring it. Keep coming. come fly with me. You know, it's great. It's fantastic. You're gonna have a great time, dude. And I will promise you one thing: if you act like an idiot on VATSIM, I will make you famous for at least 60 seconds on my YouTube channel.
Watch out, guys. CST has spoken, and
I love
yeah,
it.
no, and that's just the thing too. Once again, like I said, you're welcome to have your opinion, and not just you, but anyone, on your channel. It's your channel, and hopefully, everything that we do within the flight sim community will be a positive, a positive force for making this a better hobby for all of us. I tell you, you guys, Anon Flight Sim has been quite vocal, as I said. Your Sim CFI is here, my good buddy who is a real world pilot. Going to be featuring some of his stuff on my next flight stream. As a matter of fact, some videos and things that he has done. But guys, going to get back to the lighter side of the news before we have to close out here in about 15 minutes. And I'm sorry, but I got another Saturday evening commitment. But I want to ask you, we talked about all the Airbus aircraft earlier, the new Phoenix packs that's out, everything that's going on. I would like for you two, in your learned opinions, to tell me what is your absolute favorite aircraft to fly right now, and what is your favorite new scenery? Now you guys both have sponsors. You've been doing great giveaways. CST, thank you very much. been a winner on CST's channel. And actually, I picked up Aspen on Al's channel last night. How about that?
Yeah, very, very nice. I saw that.
So Mike, I got to get you to. I got to win with you to be to make the trifecta there.
Yeah.
So your favorite aircraft, your favorite new scenery, your favorite new sponsor. Let's talk about that for just a moment. And Mike, also, you got to plug the upcoming world trip that you're going to be doing.
Sure.
So let me throw it over to you and tell us what you got.
Well, scenery wise, new sceneries that I would say that has become one of my favorites. I haven't flown into it on stream yet, but I would say the Naha scenery in Osaka, Japan by MK Studios is a phenomenally done scenery. MK Studios blows that out of the park every time they release something, so they've quickly become one of my favorite scenery developers. I own nearly every single one of their products: Keflavik, Philadelphia, LaGuardia, so on and so forth. They make phenomenal products. If I were to put my favorite scenery in the sim as of right now, I would say LaGuardia for sure. And obviously, you guys know me. The Airbus is my favorite aircraft to this day right now.
Which variant, though? Which one?
Oh, God, that's hard now, man. This might be biased, man. It might be. I might get shot in the comments for this, but I'd still say the 320 is my favorite of the three to fly in the sim. I think the 320 flies the best out of the three, in my opinion. The 321 and 319 just have different handling characteristics that I'm still getting used to, so I would say that opinion might change. But as of right now, the 320 is still my bread and butter. And that might change soon, though, with the 757 coming to the simulator. Should be having it by the end of the year or the first quarter of 2025, according to Bluebird. So, but again, we take that with a grain of salt. When and if we do get the 757 in the sim, God willing, it is as high fidelity as Bluebird is marketing it to be. I can promise you that 757 is going to be my favorite across the board. Like Phoenix won't change my mind on it. PMDG won't change my mind on it. Nobody will change my mind on it until they release something better. So definitely think Bluebird is going to be taking the market when it comes to my favorite aircraft in the sim. As of right now, it's the 320 family by Phoenix, 320 in particular.
Right on. All right, CST, what about you there, good buddy? What's your favorite new aircraft that you're flying, and your favorite new scenery that you're using, and sponsors and all that?
Well, I don't like to say my favorite scenarios. I think all scenarios are great, especially when they're third party. But I would like to say that or rank that into like favorite approach. I always say it. I don't know why, and some people might say it's not even that cynic, but I think my favorite approach by far is the San Diego
Mm.
runway 27
Yeah.
DRNF.
I agree.
I always at least once or twice a month, I got to go to San Diego and
Fun
do the
fact to you, CST. Last night I was on the network flying in LA Center, and LA was actually landing them ILS 9 into San Diego last night over the
That
bay.
doesn't happen very often.
No, no.
Another
In 6 years I have never flown the ILS 9.
another thing that makes me prefer sceneries of airports over others is um, some of the airports that I've actually been that I lived in the region, right, in the actual city. Which in my case, I guess I have way too many of them because I lived so many different freaking states and countries that with 26 years in the military, that brought me so many places. So you would say that I have about 15 or 20 favorite airports in the world, but yeah, San Diego is probably by far. I wish there was a better scenery for San Diego because I don't think we have a great scenery yet. But what we have now is pretty good, and I'm okay with it. Um, but yeah, that's by far one. I can't explain you why. It's one of my favorite approaches. And then airplanes. My favorite airplane because I'm not an airplane lover. I'm an aviation lover. So my favorite
Mhm.
airplane is the plane that we yet do not have. That's my favorite
Nice.
airplane.
Oh, okay. That's pretty cool. That's pretty.
Fair,
I like that. Mine. CSC.
fair.
I got to tell you. Love landing in San Diego, and I've done VATSIM into San Diego twice in the past month, and I got ILS 09 each time.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Man.
I love that
I've
city
yet
approach.
I've yet to get that
I
on
just
Batson. I
look,
never get
man.
it.
Back in the day in Flight Simulator X, when I knew fuck all about VATSIM, excuse my language, when I knew nothing about ATC, when I knew nothing about flying, man, I would fly into runway 9 into San Diego all the time because the approach was just gorgeous.
Yep.
Right. I didn't knew what I was doing. There was no ILS program, nothing. I was just take off out of San Diego, turn the airplane around, and I was doing pattern work in a 7-4, right? Just landing into runway 9. But since I have become a avid flight simmer and have learned ATC and with my experience as a student pilot and all that kind of stuff, in every time I fly into San Diego, it never fails. I get the localizer 27 every time, either
Yep.
localizer 27 or the RNAV to 27 if I'm flying in from the north. And last night when I was flying to TBM into North Las Vegas, man, they gave this guy ILS 9, and even the pilot said over the network, he's like, dude, 7 years I've been flying in San Diego, I've never gotten the ILS 9. And he's like, well, winds are favoring, so we're giving it to you. So yeah,
That's awesome.
I'm gonna have to fly into San Diego a few times this month, see if we can't get that approach.
Yeah, I tell you, you should try it. You should try it. Yeah, and On Flight Simmer's got some great comments in there. Once again, Spike Fly says his favorite plane is the 737, though the 757 is amazing. Likes the or flies like a pencil rocket there. Anand said there are too many great airports in the sim. It's impossible to choose, I think. Let's see. Oh, okay. That's pretty much it. I'll let you guys read that. One of my favorite approaches, and I did it in real life, and then I went back and did it in the sim, and I bought the scenery, believe it or not, is Medford, Oregon. When you fly
Oh,
from Denver to Medford, Oregon, you've got to come in. If you come in from the north, you've got to circle around, what is it, Mount Adams, I think it is, and then come in
mhm.
and make a sharp turn. Oh gosh, what's the runway number? I want to say I can't remember. But anyway, got the scenery for Medford because I just love that little airport. It's great when I flew in there. And then when we flew in for real, in real life, we came in the CRJ 700 I was flying in, and we flew in there. And I think I've told Mike, at least you, this story. We flew in there and we came in from the southeast, and I want to say that's runway 35. I can't remember. Anyway, you come in between these huge mountains that are outside your windows. You're looking either side, and you're outside.
Yeah.
These huge mountains down below them. I could look up and see our K-Love radio transmitter site that I was going to be going to work at a little bit later this week. And the guy brought us in the CRJ, and it was a quick approach, and it was just fun. It was fun to ride. And I walked up to the cockpit, and I said, dude, that was a great landing. He said, this is my favorite approach. And I said, you got a minute to show me the cockpit? And of course, I've shown you guys those pictures and in the past stream, but I love, love, love Medford. It's so much fun. And the scenery for it is really nice. And once again, too, I've been using the Bing map enhancement, and I've really been really thrilled with that. It's been really great. Mike, we'll get to wrap up here, and as always, we'll let you have the last word, but I do want you to get to plug your world trip coming up CST, man, I am just so thrilled and grateful to see you, buddy. It's great to have you in here, even though you had a stream earlier and had to, of course, be a little late. That's all right, man. Anytime you can ever get in, we're so happy to have you. Welcome, welcome, and thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I will say, those of you in chat that might not know, this weekend, lots of sale going on. Whether you like X-Plane or Microsoft Flight Sim, keep an eye out on any build, Orbex, X-Plane Store, and all that good stuff. There's a bunch of sales going on, so it's probably the best time to picking up your favorite scenery or airplane or whatever.
Yeah,
I
and
picked up 3 sceneries last night on Orbix with the sales. I spent like less than $30 for 3 airports.
oh, nice, nice. And Owls jumps in right at the very last minute.
Tail end, bro. Get out of here.
tail end in the conga line there. Hey, CST, real quick before, real quick, tell us what you got coming up here on CST Gaming's channel, real quick.
What I got coming up on CST Gaming channel?
Yeah, what you got?
Nah, the usual.
All the usual.
What do you mean?
Well,
far as
anything exciting? Any exciting giveaways? New sponsors you want to mention? Any of that kind of?
there's some potential stuff, but it's not really finalized yet. I already have a bunch. I haven't really tried to reach out in a while to other people because I don't want to be the guy that has 20,000 people to collab with. So I kind of slowed down with a lot of the individual developers. And I'm still the in the Orbex content creator team. We got Prodesim, we got Plastic Factory as far as the Honeycomb stuff is concerned. We got Next Level Racing, which I'm actually affiliated with, and I'm actually affiliated with Prodesim as well. Affiliation means I actually make money out of them, right? So whenever people actually click my link, use my discount codes, and buy a Next Level Racing chair or Next Level Racing product or a Prodesim product, I get some money, right? Is it going to change my life? No, it's not. It's absolutely not going to change my life. It's not that much money, but at the same time, it's enough money to where I can turn around and I can buy a gift card for the channel. I can buy a scenery to showcase. I can put that towards a new airplane that's coming out, right, and just put it back into the channel. So that's what I mainly use. Anything that I get out of YouTube or affiliation with some partners that I have. That's really all I use that for. But yeah, I've slowed down a lot. If I gotta be honest, I'm waiting on response from Aerosoft and Toby. That's the only 2 people that I've reached out to. Other than that, I am not looking forward or planning on reaching to anybody else at this point. Um, because I really don't care to at this point.
Sure,
But hey, 6 months from now, that might change. So we'll see how that goes.
you bet.
As far as some other exciting stuff coming here in the future, and MickityyyMike is on the same boat here. We're both going to be at World Flight in California this year in November, the first week of November. We are part of the Wings for Oak team. But yeah, I'll let him wrap that up, and he'll tell you more about it. But yeah, I'm very excited about that because there's going to be a lot of people there that share the same hobby, the same passion, the same love for aviation, and at the same time, level-headed people. And I would say that I know probably about 50 to 70% of the people that are going to be there I've already met at the expo. So we're on first name basis, and we chat almost every day type stuff. So I'm very excited for that. I'm looking forward to it. And the best part about this whole thing is what the cause, right? That's the number one thing. And obviously, aside from the cause, I'm looking forward to having some good old fashioned fun with some friends.
Mm-hmm.
I am looking forward to watching you guys, and I'm going to be able to say, hey, I know those 2. That's awesome. That's awesome. CST, thank you so much, man. It's so good to see you, Mello. We'll look forward to the next one here and all the streams you have coming up. Mr. Owls, I'm going to hop over to you there, good buddy, and we're
going delayed FS per the freaking usual.
Okay.
Life happens, buddy. Yeah, thanks for jumping in here before it's all over.
Sleepy Joe over there.
Yeah,
true.
And man, congratulations on the subscribe number. Good God, dude, you're just smoking it. Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. What's coming up with OwlzzFS here in the next couple of weeks before we do the next virtual flight deck?
Nothing that I know of, any crazy stuff, unless there's like an airplane or anything that comes up. Just going live again all next week, hopefully. I'm not saying that though because I haven't been keeping that promise, but that's the plan.
Well, I have really enjoyed your streams, and honestly, I could not walk away from the stream last night, especially between Telluride and Aspen.
No, that was
fun.
I mean, I gotta do that.
Okay,
That was
fun.
actually fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, let me know when you're going to be doing a flight in Colorado like that again, because I've got to try to manage to join in there. I really do. So, Al's, thanks for jumping in here and saying hi, and we certainly will look forward to having you in here on the next one. Captain Jack is going to be flying just before we let Mike wrap it up here. Captain Jack's going to be doing some sports flying here just for fun. We're going to be flying those new liveries
Okay.
that I told you guys about because, as you know, I am a football fan and especially a fan of the Broncos. And Al's, the other night when you were flying the Oakland Raiders, what is that, Allegiant scenery? I thought that was really cool, but since I'm a Raider hater, you know, we're going to be flying. Let's see, we're going to be flying the Denver Broncos 737-800 up on your screen now. We're going to be flying. We'll get a Buffalo Airways trip in with Buffalo Airways flying the 737 from Yellowknife, probably down to Red River. That's in an upcoming stream for Captain Jack here, just for fun. We'll be flying the Kansas City Chiefs A320 here on the screen. And also, we'll have to get in a Colorado Rockies 737. Now, I do a lot of, shall we say, fictional type flights just because I want to, just because I love it. I love flying where I want to, when I want to. I'll leave the real world routes for the most part over to you pro guys. We'll let you do that. And we'll just have some fun over here. But anyway, that's what's coming up with Captain Jack, and got some new sceneries to go through that I have won from my generous benefactors. So there you go. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. And thanks for being here this afternoon for the virtual flight deck, our second installment of the rebranded podcast here. And Mike, thank you for the great work on the logo and design and everything that you did. And we'll let you wrap it up here, and we will call it an afternoon. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks everybody in the chat for being here. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up button there, and we'll go from there. So, Mike, you got it. Wrap it up.
Well, yeah, man. This is the beauty of the flight simulation community, man. All the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, from Virginia, from Oklahoma City, all the way to Colorado, man. We just got a bunch of guys in this chat talking about the things that we love and the things that we enjoy as flight simmers. Right? I started YouTube just to have fun and enjoy it, but surpassing 1,000 subs and the community continuing to grow, man. You guys have been absolutely insane. I have 150 subscribers in the last 20 days, man. It's been absolutely insane. So I really do appreciate you guys. You guys have been fantastic per the usual. With football season coming up, guys, we're going to be doing some fun stuff, hopefully, on the channel. As you guys know, I'm a New Orleans Saints fan, so who dat nation till I die, baby.
There you go.
Go Knights go as well for hockey coming up soon as well. But yes, to comment on World Flight, guys, Jack had was wanting me to talk about World Flight, but also, guys, CST Gaming has been accepted into the Wings for Hope crew for World Flight as well. So there might be a chance that me and CST might be in the cockpit with each other during World Flight, doing a couple of legs.
You might fall asleep in the middle. He'll say positive rate, gear up. You'll just be dead.
Yeah. Where are you at? Where have you been? Time is it, bro?
Okay. Sorry, I was actually touching
crazy.
Grass. My bad.
Yeah.
I was touching grass,
okay.
breathing fresh air.
Come talk to me when you start getting paid from a full-time job, brother.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right. All right, but yeah,
all right,
me
kids,
and
wrap it up.
Yeah, right. Me and CST will be in Southern California come November 2nd through the 9th. I will be there between the 6th and the 9th. I won't be there the full week, unfortunately. Just work will not allow me to do that. But I will be there for a few days, flying along with everybody, a part of the Wings for Hope group, myself, CST Gaming, Captain Canada, Midnight Maverick. Mark is also a Wings for Hope member who sat in on my interview with Wings for Hope, and just a plethora of other guys. Man, Jeff Faviano, if you all know who Jeff Faviano is, massive YouTuber and awesome content creator. So it's gonna be a great week worth of flying with all of them. It's going to an amazing cause for the St. Jude's Children's Hospital. All proceeds from those streams will be going directly to the St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
That's
in
my
donation
favorite
for that,
charity
for that,
of all
yeah,
time, by the
it's
way.
gonna be awesome, man. Just helping out the kids in need that need the help from us to continue sustaining life and all that kind of stuff. So it's gonna be an awesome time, man. But with that being said,
Mike, tune in, fellas. All right, November, first week of November, tune in. There's going to be a lot of raffles.
Yes,
Raffles.
a lot of raffles. We can't use giveaway. It's a Mark. I'm pointing at you, homie. Raffles. We will be doing a lot of raffles that week, in courtesy of Thrustmaster and a plethora of other major developers who are going to be donating to the cause as well. So it's going to be
Tillers.
Yeah, tillers. CST is going to be giving away some tillers. It's going to be an awesome week, man. But yes, November 2nd through November 9th, I'm going to try and get it live stream on my channel live as well. It's going to be streamed on a plethora of other channels as well. So make sure you're there. And we're just going to have a great time flying that 777 around the world, man, from Sydney to Sydney. It's going to be a lot of fun. So the next installment, the virtual flight deck, guys, no idea when that's going to be. We're going to have to get Andrew on that next one for sure, Jack, being he wasn't able to attend today. So we'll definitely have to get Andrew on that one, get another VATSIM representative from the Seattle RTCC out of Portland as a Portland tower controller. So it'd be awesome to hear his experiences with being a tower controller and what it's like. But with that being said, guys, I will be live tonight at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, flying from Seattle to Boise. Now, it was supposed to be Bozeman, but I'll tell that. I purchased a P3D scenery by accident last night instead of a Microsoft scenery.
So,
deafen him, please. We'll be flying from Seattle to Boise in the 737, hopping back into the Boeings. I got the yoke all set up. And we might see some general aviation flying this week, guys. Man, Jack, you got to get into that TBM, dude. I got to teach you how to fly that thing. That TBM is a ton of fun to fly.
I actually have flown it and pretty familiar with it. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We definitely got to do some. There are a ton of good freeware municipal airport sceneries on the TO. But with that being said, guys, we are going to go ahead and wrap it up today. CST, Owls, Captain Jack, per the usual. You guys are freaking awesome. Really appreciate the opportunity to do this podcast with you guys and give our opinions and give our differences on different things. We might not agree on everything, but at the end of the day, we all can agree on one thing, that aviation is freaking awesome. So we do appreciate you guys tuning in, and we will see you guys all in the next installment of the Virtual Flight Deck podcast. Make sure you head over to my channel, Jack's channel, Owl's channel, CST's channel. Make sure you drop a subscribe. Make sure you drop a comment, and be sure, out of all things, make sure you hit that like button, because it is completely free to do so, and it helps out the channel tremendously. So with that being said, guys, we will see you all in the next one from the Virtual Flight Deck, y'all. We'll see you.
Okay, guys, I'm clear. Thank you so much.